Senator Colbeck.
Thank you, Acting Deputy President. Today I rise to add my remarks to reflect and give thanks for a life of service and to extend my condolence to the family of Queen Elizabeth II and all those who mourn her. Her Majesty, as has been well documented, has been a constant figure in the lives of over 90% of the world's population, with particular pertinence to the nations of the Commonwealth. Her passing has given us all pause to reflect on the events of the period of her reign, the Elizabethan era, her influence on those events and, of course, our own personal interactions with her, as significant or as insignificant as that may be. My first interaction was to be one of those less significant. I was to be part of a display of children at the North Hobart Oval in 1970. Unfortunately, it rained. The event was called off and others got to wave their flags at her as she continued her tour around Hobart. So any close contact with Her Majesty was delayed for another 36 years when I had the opportunity to be part of a state dinner here in this place, to meet Her Majesty and to be part of a photograph that was taken in the marble foyer with then Prime Minister Howard and his ministry. A moment to reflect and to savour. Tasmania hosted Her Majesty on 7 occasions in 54, 1963, 1970, 71, 81, 88 and 2000, and as has been reflected by some of my Tasmanian colleagues, declared Burnie on the northwest coast a city during her visit in 1988, and as it was noted, Burnie were very keen for that to occur with Devonport, their rival city on the northwest coast of Tasmania, having been declared a city by now King Charles III in 1981. It is also worth noting that during her stay in Midlands that was mentioned by Senator Askew shortly, the Midlands grazing property Conneville, during her 1954 visit, that a special room was built to house the cable link back to Buckingham Palace, to house the wireless operators. Her Majesty was connected well before it became such an indispensable part of all of our lives. It is interesting to reflect on how some see her place as one of hierarchy, yet she saw her place as one of service. Her enrolment in the Defence Force during World War II is a clear reflection of that. And perhaps that's why she is so widely respected and why we have seen the most extraordinary public display of mourning over the past two weeks, the likes of which we are unlikely to see again. Those 2 weeks, and I am sure in the weeks and months to come, will show us how Her Majesty, even after her passing, was demonstrating her pledge to duty. Knowing her intimate involvement in the planning of her funeral, we see the clear demonstration of her understanding of the importance of traditions and ceremony in our lives and all our cultures, in how we tell our stories and how we celebrate and sustain our cultures. Regardless of where they derive from, Her Majesty understood that, and it was on display right up until the moment her casket descended into the crypt of St George's Chapel. She gave even past the end. While some might reflect on what they perceive she took, it is clear that on balance, of all things, she gave so much more. Her Majesty said in 1974, "Perhaps we make too much of what is wrong and too little of what is right. The trouble with gloom is that it feeds upon itself, and depression causes more depression." A pertinent quote, I think, in our current times. Her Majesty clearly understood the frailty of both peace and democracy, and although it may have slipped under the radar a little, the day after her death was in fact the International Day of Democracy. Further pause for reflection on the contribution that the Queen Elizabeth and the monarchy's contribution to democracy has made to our system of government. The Westminster system, that despite its flaws, is clearly the best there is and gives us all of the freedoms that we enjoy in this great country today. The lessons of the last 2 weeks should not be forgotten as we contemplate the future of our democracy, including the seamless transition to King Charles III, who during the 10 days of those events took on that mantle of service which saw him and his family mourning in the full public eye. I had the opportunity to attend a gathering of young Tasmanians during his tour to Tasmania in the late 1970s, a reception for young Tasmanians with the opportunity to meet the then Prince of Wales. Well, despite my steely blue eyes and snappy three-piece suit and luxuriant mullet, the good burghers of Hobart decided there was a much more attractive person in the room that should meet the then single Prince Charles. So my ambitions were duly, the crowd was duly parted to give effect to that meeting and not to me. To King Charles and his family, and all those who hold Her Majesty so dear, I offer my sincerest condolences. To Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, thank you, ma'am, for your service, and may you rest in peace.